Hi guys, how you doing? Let's review Diablo 4. So I found this on the internet from another YouTuber, and it's quite a cool Excel spreadsheet. So I just put in my own opinions and thoughts, and let me know what you guys think. I like the campaign story so far. I've not completed it, but that's why I put the weighing at 4. I think the campaign is very important. I've not completed it yet, so that's why I think I kept it at the modest 6. At the music, I kept it at 7 out of 10. I love the music. There's just not enough of it. Sometimes the game goes quiet, especially in the beginning, but overall the music sets the environment and it's great. More of it would have been awesome. I hate the idea of playing the campaign over and over again. I feel if you can play it once, that should be enough. You should unlock all the stuff and not have to do it again. I've not completed yet, so I've given it a 5. Itemization, I don't know about the itemization, because it feels like items are not impactful, and even if they are, it's not a long time until you find something better. But I get that's the idea of ARPGs, and they've sort of, since Diablo 3, pushed that thing so you get that dopamine hit earlier and earlier and faster. But I don't know. Some of the items also feel generic, so basically you're just trying to find the same item but a more powerful version of it. That sort of feels like it's going to be that repetition, and then you're going to remove the legendary aspect and try to put it on the new one and just repeat. um, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. The action, I like the pace of combat. I think the mobs are enough, and I think on high difficulties in certain dungeons you will have a faster paced combat and a hoarding of monsters, which is great. But thus far I loved it. When it comes to RPG, I feel like all ARPGs do not fulfill the RPG side. If they could do that and make it more RPG, or some side quests which are more impactful and you actually have a choice or get items, especially as you're progressing early on, certain items, or even unlock some unique items by doing these quests, that would be quite cool and actually bring in the RPG of the ARPG. Builds, I feel there's not enough builds. I feel the game restricts you with skill slots, so you can't even I get the full feel. It always feels like you're sacrificing something. You can't really get the full experience. Some of the skill trees doesn't feel it synergizes well, and there's also parts of it that I wish it was a bit more complex. Completism, I don't care for it much. That's why it's weighing as 1. However, there's a lot of content you can tick off and complete with renown, quests, dungeons, collecting aspects, all that good stuff, exploration. The cinematics are great. Um, I think if the story is good enough, you don't need it. But Blizzard has always done great cinematics, and so far what I've seen is not that bad. It's quite good, and I love it. PvP, don't care for PvP. Haven't played it, so I can't score it. But I understand people like that. I hated the Diablo Immortals pay to win system. It ruined PvP. Quality of life, I feel there could be some improvements in the town. There's all the shops are quite far from apart, and I get the idea you have to walk to the different places. It gives the feel of like you're in this world and you're walking, but after a while it really gets too much. Yeah, but apart from that, there's also improvements that can be made on the UI and inventory. But let's just go to the UI. Overall, the UI was copied from Diablo 3. It feels, it does work. It is smooth enough, but some of the tabs, I don't know. Um, I think it can be improved somewhat. Ease of access. This game, I think, is open to the general public. If this is your first ARPG slash MMO type game, the game is accommodating to new players. I like the monsters, how they look and their abilities, but overall it feels like it's a copy from Diablo 3, especially with the bosses, even the type of effects they do. It feels quite similar to Diablo 3, which I do not like, but I gave it a 7. Not reached the end game yet, can't score it. I kept it at a standard 5. The bosses so far didn't really feel like wow. Don't like some of the boss fights, especially melee fights in the dungeon. Some bosses put auras on the ground, you can't fight them. It just feels like anti gameplay, and there's not a good balance to cope with all that. Yeah. the spells look great, and so far they appear impactful. Um, I would like to play more, but thus far it looks amazing, so I gave it an 8. I have no friends, so I can't rate social or party play, although I know in Diablo 2 and in Diablo 1 LAN gameplay was amazing. You also meet players in the real world, which is quite cool, and it's nice playing with them, even if it's for a short bit and then they go away. Which is also fine to me because I'm getting used to playing single player most of the time, and I like the idea of playing by myself and especially experiencing the huge world of Sanctuary and exploring it is cool. Damage scaling, I think it feels off because of how the mechanics of the game work as well as the itemization. There's a lot of damage types, but they're not actually relevant, and the most important ones appear to be to make your target vulnerable or some form of CC to boost your damage, and then on top of it, if you can put crit, then you're a good build, you're like a good class. But if you can't do all these things as well as have some survivability and unstoppable effects, then it feels lackluster. And even if you, because of the scaling of the game, you do you do feel powerful when you get a new item, and then after a while it sort of fizzles out, and then the monsters adjusted to you in terms of level or power. So I don't know, I gave it a 6. Monetization, I don't care for monetization. I think like this is just bad. The impact of it is too much. Fortunately, Diablo 4 doesn't force it down your throat, which is great. I hated Diablo Immortal for it. I hated Blizzard for doing this. But I don't know. If it can be removed, I would be happy. I'm more like an old school gamer though. Cosmetics, they look amazing though, the cosmetics in the shop. And I'm grateful they don't force it down and give you pop-ups and ads like other games. But it doesn't really impact the game as much, so I don't care for it. The graphics of the game is amazing. It crushes Diablo 3. It has amazing gothic aesthetic to it, back to the old games. That's amazing. It removes the cartoony garbage from Diablo 3, the Warcraft graphics. I love it, and that's why I give it a 10. The environment feel is great. I love exploring the different areas and how it changes, but also keeps the sort of vibe, the dark vibe of Sanctuary. It's very cool. And I love the ambient music. I love it when music kicks in and you can get a feel of what's going on. Like if you're in a dungeon, it's more creepy. If you're in wilderness, there's more wind. Performance, the game runs quite well. It even runs on my very, very entry-level laptop. However, I need a new computer because of all the graphics. It's just amazing. Even on mid graphics, the game looks great and runs quite well. Resource management, I don't care for it. I know it's a core mechanic. It seems to function well. I don't really like it. Sometimes I don't like roadblocks, like the skill to respec your skills cost gold. I think it should be removed. It's just why. Developer communication, I wish there was a way for the average mainstream gamer to give their inputs, even if it doesn't really change much. At least then the company would know how all the players feel and how to find a good middle ground without compromising late game or stealing from hardcore players, or maybe add something for different players, for someone who just wants to explore, someone who just wants to play with friends, someone who's just has an hour a day, how to make the gaming feel meaningful for them, or just an average casual player. I think everyone's inputs is valuable, and there should be an easy way to get that information to Blizzard, maybe through a Discord, or where you can submit something to their support or to some desk or website. I don't know. Maybe there's some feature, I don't know. I haven't actually looked up anything about it. I love the mount. I love the horse. I just wish you could get it sooner. And can we add mounts that fly? Question mark. Paragon board looks interesting. It's great. I've not reached level 50 yet, so I kept it at a 5 rating out of 10. Crafting feels meh. I guess it's okay. Yeah, so I would rescore this when I get into late game. But like I said, because of how the itemization is very generic and it looks complex, but it's not, and it copies a lot from Diablo 3, and also how the overall game mechanics works, crafting doesn't feel bad, but it's not wow. I'm not always excited, and but yeah, I think it's more a late game thing, so I'll come back to it. Systems, yeah, systems is, I think, overall mechanics, how the math works behind your resistances and things, it doesn't feel like it flows well. The game forces you to go defensive stats. Resistance doesn't feel if it work, but armor stacks very high. The game punishes you extremely if you want to go full damage items, itemization, full damage skills. So I don't know about it. That's why I give it a 4 for now. Combat feel mechanics. The game feels extremely smooth. I like how the ultimates feel impactful. Everything feels very, very fluid. It is mind-bogglingly good how it was made, honestly, even though it feels that you don't have enough skill slots and enough tools to actually experience the whole kit of any class. Like in the necromancer, you have to waste 2 classes if you are summoner, and then the rest of your abilities you can't use. I think can give you at least an extra tab, which you can use with 8 or 6 new skills with the extra tab. Other classes, most classes have a left click generation skill, so that you're wasting a left click, and that's a basic skill, and I get it's sort of part of it, but it feels like it's just forcing you down a tunnel, and it robs from experiencing this amazing fluid gameplay when it comes to mechanics of dodging and using your abilities, because there's so many cool abilities and they feel so mechanic, and the physics is good and they feel impactful, and then you just have 6 slots and you can't really experience them, because in the end you're in a way blocked you're in a way limited by the skill points of the skill tree. So I think they could have added it just for, especially in the early game, to experience and use those skills, and then maybe you can just respec without costing gold, and then go into your end game skill tree and use those abilities. Is it fun? It's very fun. That's why I gave it an 8. Loads of content, and I think even though the score is basically 6.6 out of 10, it's still a great game, but there's a lot of the game that feels average, especially also considering how much you pay. This is a small wish list of mine, and I wish it's just some things that I wish were different. More skill slots. Some classes I think need reworks. The skill tree maybe can add some more better synergy or more interesting branches to go down to, because the twig system feels very, very linear. I wish you can access the mount a lot faster, so you can run around and explore the map, which you can't. You have to play up to Act 4. I wish the different side quests or even if small events you find where just you're fighting monsters was not as repetitive, because you find a lot of the same things, and even the same bosses in different dungeons. I wish itemization, sorting, and slots were improved, and that's also part of the user interface that needs some adjustment. I wish there were more quest-like quests to bring the RPG factor back into the ARPG. I think that would be great, and if you complete the quest, you can decide what you want to do, and then you get maybe a unique item, or maybe some unique items you can only get by discovering this side quest by chance and then completing it. And then in the end you have a choice, and it gives you different stuff that you can get for it. We're also bringing in the combat and ARPG-ness of it all, although I know it's a lot of work and it's not maybe the main aim of the game, but yeah. Items do not feel impactful sometimes, because you play a short while and then you get a new item. Maybe this changes in the end game. We have more uniques and legendary competing, and then you just get the best one or the one best for your build, and then that would feel a bit more rewarding. Crafting in game core mechanics field copied, like it feels like it's copied from Diablo 3, and it doesn't feel as good as it should. I don't know. Maybe I should play more. Maybe the game opens up even more at end game, and which is lacking now in the building and mechanics of the game will be filled with the Paragon board. I don't know yet, but I'll get to it. And so currently this is my review of D4, a 6.6 out of 10. Thank you guys.
Your field stabilized.